Google Ads will never be the same ever again thanks to the introduction of AI mode combined with Google Shopping placements. And today, I want to tell you what this means for your e-commerce brand and how to adapt your strategy around it so you can continue growing your brand and scaling long term. But going a bit deeper on exactly what this means and how this works, as we see here on my screen, we can see with a quick search, we can find that Google Shopping ads now do appear in AI-driven search experiences and specifically AI mode, which you see right over here. And just a disclaimer, although AI mode is getting rolled out basically for every brand out there and every search out there, at the time of this recording, it's still in beta version and it's still in progress, meaning come August of 2026 is when basically all of the brands out there will now be eligible to showcase their products via AI mode, especially if they're running Google Shopping ads. But in general, how does this exactly work and do you have to do anything crazy to get onto AI mode? First things first, there's automatic eligibility. What this means is any existing standard Google Shopping campaigns you have, or even the Performance Max campaigns going after feed only, or the products in general, are now opted to show up in the AI interfaces. And essentially, on a contextual placements basis, the ads blend into conversational answers. This is going to be a very big key because as we soon go into what Shopify has to say about it, we can understand what the conversations even lead to and how your brand can adapt to these conversations. But highlighted recommendation blocks and product comparison carousels rather than just standing alone as banners. And most important of all, in terms of how it would affect the bidding in the backend, how your bids would progress, etc., the shopping graph integration, essentially with Google's AI, it pulls live pricing, live inventory, and images directly from your Google Shopping graph database. So essentially, however the auctions would perform with Google Shopping directly, for example, when we would go on Google and let's say type in the keyword 3D printer, or for that matter, any product keyword out there, the auction that took place within the split second it took to load this is the same exact auction style that would take place with AI modes. There's no difference. This means the beautiful score, which most brands love to avoid and others don't even know about, called the quality score, still plays a massive impact in how Google determines who ranks at the top of these AI mode searches versus who doesn't even rank at all. And just for a refresher, quality score essentially is landing page experience plus the expected CTRs times the ad relevancy. It shouldn't be plus, it's multiplied with each other along with the bids and budgets. But with that being said, now there's 4 different segments of AI mode that you want to be aware of and how AI mode essentially would work with your e-commerce brand, from visual discovery to virtual try-on, agentic checkout, and conversational shopping in the Gemini app. We're gonna even go over what Shopify has to say in terms of preparing your business for Google AI shopping. But in general, what does Google AI shopping even mean? To paraphrase all of this text right over here, AI shopping is essentially getting placed within AI mode as well as the shopping tab and Google's AI assistant app, Gemini. So that means all the products you sell, and if somebody's typing keywords around your products, having conversations, should now start ranking within these search engine placements. And as we see here, it's currently rolling out in the early access and merchants can now begin selling through Google AI mode on Gemini app. And the main goal of this entire change, first and foremost, is to move from conversation to checkout without leaving the experience. You better believe that Google wants everybody to essentially shop directly within the conversation users are having within AI mode, within Gemini, and other AI platforms like even ChatGPT. They want all of the transactions to be done in platform versus having to, for example, go onto AI mode, look up a certain keyword, have a certain conversation, and then from there, go on over to a landing page of a product, etc. Google is going to be cutting out all of that, which makes it much more important to not only have a solid interface on the Google Ad AI mode, but to have a solid product ad on the front end because most users will not even go on your landing page anymore. But beyond conversational searches, Google AI shopping now includes visualization and purchasing tools, like for example, virtual try-on, so on and so forth. And all of this is related to your Google Merchant Center and the overall authority and quality of the Merchant Center, which we'll talk about very shortly. But let's very quickly go over the 4 different Google Shopping AI features so you have a better idea of what this means. First, with visual discovery. Now, AI mode changes how products compete compared to the traditional keyword-driven search engine results pages. And this is a beautiful quote said by the founder of Manscaped. Essentially, it's not just about squeezing keywords on a web page anymore. Rather, it's about allowing users and AI to say what's the best trimmer out there, for example, or what's the best product for my problem, or what's the best solution for what I'm dealing with, so on and so forth. It's all about conversations, and it's less artificial. For example, like you would imagine with just a list of links that rank for certain keywords. And essentially what this means is on a visual level, if we look right here, Google gives a perfect example of what that means. A query like backpack for a hiking trip in the Pacific Northwest generates product suggestions that reflect attributes such as the weather, resistance, size, materials, along with pricing, reviews, and availability. All of these things, by the way, again, I'm going to keep repeating this, but all of these have to do with the Google Merchant Center and how your ads are portrayed in the backend. But second most important thing is virtual try-on. Now, this is more for fashion brands. This is more for brands where a visual direction is needed. So in this situation, what the AI tools are basically going to be doing is essentially allowing users to, for example, upload their own photos to see how the items look on their body and how it fits and drips, etc. If you're selling, for example, furniture or home decor, you can take a photo of your own room, your bedroom, your living room, wherever you want to place that furniture, and have that specific product get placed in that through the virtual try-on, which significantly increases the importance of visualization. And the main goal with this virtual try-on approach for AI is to essentially allow customers to preview custom products, build confidence before buying. And in their own words, essentially, this just means that they want customers to feel like, wow, that sofa, that chair, that table is really sitting in my space. It's about that relevancy. Again, going back to the quality score, one of the most important things Google actually identified your ads around was the ad relevancy. It was about 22% of how much it mattered. Obviously now with the introduction of AI mode and whatnot, this has basically gone up a notch. In fact, to the point that it's competing head on with landing page experience and the expected CTRs of your ads along with everything else. But third, and I believe the most important introduction to AI mode is Agentic Checkout. Now, this sounds like it's from a different planet because essentially that's what it is. This is a way of the AI systems and the AI agents to initiate and complete a purchase on a shopper's behalf after the shopper confirms purchase details. So these users, they're not even the ones purchasing on your website anymore or through AI mode. In fact, it's the robots doing majority of the work. That means two different things. Number one, your entire strategy needs to take what the robot wants into account. And number two, the backend becomes 10 times more important because unlike a real human being, a robot does not have feelings, emotions, or desires. It's just basically firing off of facts, firing off of what it sees in your backend. Meaning, if you have the right kind of keywords the AI robot is looking for, there's a higher chance your products will end up ranking much higher and the robot choosing your products versus everything else that shows up. And Sean Frank from Ridge says this perfectly. Either people are going to be checking out on ChatGPT or TikTok Shop or your Shopify store or Amazon. There is no one or the other. The reliance on just Shopify stores or the storefront in general is now decreasing with the introduction of AI mode, which brings us to the final point, which is conversational shopping in the Gemini app. Now, with Shopify Agentic Storefront and also AI mode in general, shoppers can now move from conversation to checkout directly in the Gemini app, which further confirms what I had mentioned earlier about all of these AI efforts trying to narrow down the amount of browsing a user has to do between when they first see the product versus when they end up purchasing that product. But with all of that being said, how do you prepare for your business to run with AI mode, to run with all of these AI introductions? First things first, the basics. Installing the Google and YouTube channel. If you already have an app like Simprosys or any other Google app which connects your merchant center to the backend, like even Data Feed Watch, for example, this is not the most important thing, but having some sort of reliance on Google or YouTube is an absolute mandatory part of running an e-commerce brand, especially right now. This is for all of you brand owners who don't believe Google is that important compared to Meta or TikTok ad, which, by the way, if you run a brand making over $50,000 per month in revenue, you would rather get some help with all of these changes and with Google ads in general, scaling to the next level profitably and consistently. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description below to directly schedule a call with me where I will do a completely free Google Ads audit to find all the problems preventing your brand from scaling, potential solutions, and then if it makes sense, how we can potentially work together to scale long term. But once the basics are done, once the foundations are laid out, the second, and this is the most important thing you need to do, is complete your product data and identifiers. Going back to the Google Merchant Center, this is where you need to be incorporating all of those things that you potentially can in the back end, from the GTINs, the barcodes, the MPNs, the category the product is in, color, sizing, and everything in between becomes 10 times more important, because without this, your brand doesn't even have a chance to go on AI mode. It doesn't even have a chance to fully capitalize on the change and direction Google Ads is going towards. But from there, the third and also the most important part that's connected to the second is creating high quality product listings. Again, product images, product titles, the keyword you have within the product titles, the reviews, the schema in the back end, the pricing, the promos. All of these things now become much more important than just having the right campaign structure, because all of these things that Google sees on the front end is exactly what gets fed to the back end in any of the AI searches that get done, because that's the only way Google knows exactly what you sell and what conversations your brand should be appearing for. And fourth important thing before the fifth one is building trust through reviews. Reviews have been always important, but they become 10 times more important to get properly incorporated within Google Shopping, get them approved in the Merchant Center, and have real reviews, because Google and AI mode is becoming 10 times smarter as we speak to know which brands have real reviews versus which brands don't really have real reviews. And when you combine that with the fifth most important thing, which is to monitor your product feed and fix disapprovals, because the more disapprovals you have, the more warning signs you have within the Merchant Center, the more red flag you send to AI mode and the Google Ads algorithm in general, and let it know that, hey, your brand is not ready to rank on AI mode because it contains all of these issues. It's not following the directions Google has laid out. And right now, as we enter the world of artificial intelligence, instructions and following Google's algorithm to get it on your side has become 10 times more important. But with that being said, AI mode is officially here to stay, and the brands that take everything before they reach the campaign dashboard into consideration, and the brands that actually build on top of a solid foundation, are exactly those brands that are going to start winning now more than ever before, because the introduction of AI mode does not harm Google Ads on a fundamental level. It just adds an extra layer on top of what you already had running and gives you the potential to 10x your sales over time if you approach it the right way. Which again, if you run a brand making $50,000 a month minimum and you'd rather get help scaling with Google Ads, scan the QR code on the screen or click the first link in the description below to directly schedule a call with me, and let's see how we can work together to make that happen.